have a quorum. If you guys will stand and pray with me. Lord, we thank you for the city of Mangum. We thank you for the employees that you've given us to work for our city and to better it. We ask that you give wisdom and strategy to the administration of the city of Mangum and to the commission to benefit the people and glorify the kingdom. I ask for resources for our city, that we would be blessed and that we would be a blessing. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the consent agenda.
I'd like to remove item 1 from the consent agenda for further discussion.
Okay. So do we go ahead and approve items 2 through 4? So we need a motion to approve. Hey, Dixie. Yep. Items 2 through 4.
I make a motion to approve items 2 through 4 on the consent agenda.
Second.
Vote.
Huckabee,
Yes.
McCaslin,
Yes.
Peterson,
Of item 1.
It's on the open session number 16. Should that not read interim city clerk and not new city clerk?
Yeah. I think that's right. What do we need to do about that, Corey?
Just motion to approve with that amendment.
Somebody want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion to approve item 1 pending the changes.
Okay. A second, please.
I'll second.
And a vote.
Huckabee,
Yes.
McCaslin,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
All right, at this time, we'll open it up to remarks or inquiries by the audience not pertaining to any item on the agenda. Okay, if you want to stand up to the podium, you can.
To the podium?
Yeah. Hi.
Hello. I'm Melissa Long, and I was told I was going to have to come up here to see what we can't do about getting our electric taken out of my daughter's name and put in my mom's name. We've been paying the bill the whole time. There were circumstances at the time when we put it in her name, when we moved in this house, and for some reason, I mean, Kim, she lives 3 hours away. That's my youngest daughter. That's whose name we've been paying the bill in. Well, we've gone solar, and it's all in my mom's name, and my daughter was supposed to get up here. I mean, a few years ago, they've been trying off and on to not forget to her to get up here and get it all in my mom's name. Well, my mom's upset. She's thinking she's going to have to come up with $300 for the deposit all over again. She's in very good standing. So, I mean, we pay our bills. One of the circumstances was we owed a bill from 5/20, okay, which is why we had to put it in my youngest daughter's name. Well, we paid extra every month, $50 every month until that bill was paid. That's been paid a long time. We still haven't got it in my mother's name. These solar guys are out here. They were out there today, and they'll be back tomorrow. We need this all in my mother's name and my daughter out of the picture so we don't have to go through my daughter and do all this technicality stuff. And I need to know what the city of Mangum can do to help her. Just have it in her name and take my daughter off of there. My daughter's number's there. My daughter tried calling Shelley back before 5. She didn't get a hold of her. She's got a emergency circumstance at hand, you know, when she tried to do this. So I just need to know, I mean, I was told I was gonna have to come up here and bring this for y'all to see what we can do without not having to come up with $300. I mean, she already put the $150 deposit when we first moved in there. It's just all had to be in my daughter's name.
So the address that you're talking about is where they're doing
Yes.
the solar system that they've got going on right now, but
Yes.
it's in someone else's name.
No, that's in my mom's name.
Okay, it's not in your name.
No, I
You're
am
not
on the
on that
lease, and
account.
I'm speaking for my mother. She is too upset to come up here, trust me.
Right. But we have a policy, which we explained that our policy is if it's in someone's name, they first need to call and disconnect it, and then we do have to start a new service in your, or whoever's moving in this house.
Well,
name,
we've been living there. We've been paying the bill the whole 8 years we've been there.
But not in your name, it's in your mother's name?
It's in
Or
her
daughter's
daughter's name.
daughter's name.
They want it in her mother's name.
Yes, we put it in my daughter's name, and we've been paying it in her name all this time. But we've paid off. She's even paid a bill that wasn't even in her name, she got stuck with on Sprott. We just need to know how we can work this out and get my daughter off of there so that this can all go in my mother's name, and they can hook our solar up tomorrow, because these guys are having to come from a long ways.
So it should be in whoever's name
My
that's
mom.
the solar people are here to
Linda
connect.
Long.
If it's in Linda's name, the
Yeah.
address needs to be in Linda's
Look, the
name.
address is in Linda's name, and mine. The
Is
bill
Linda-
wasn't.
Right, but we can't do anything unless it's in Linda's name. If Linda is starting this project for solar paneling, it's got to be in her name. So that's what we were saying today. We can't disconnect anything unless that, whoever's in this address, your mother or your daughter, has to disconnect. And we have to start new services.
I still, I mean,
So you're saying there is no way to transfer service? It just needs to
We
be
don't
I mean-
transfer anymore, right? We stopped that a
And
couple of
reconnect.
years ago. I think it's been about
I
5
mean,
years
it's
that we
just a
stopped
matter of
that.
getting my daughter off of there and putting it in my mom's name. She's been paying it all along. That's where, just boot my daughter off and put my mom down. Why does there gotta be a disconnect, reconnect? She's good for everything.
Well, like I said, that policy was done about 5 years ago where we don't transfer. So we have to disconnect and put it in someone else's name if you want your daughter off and put your mother on.
Okay, so how can we do that? My daughter lives 3 hours away.
Can she call? and
Yeah,
get
she
disconnected?
did call. She called Shelley today before
Okay.
5, and she didn't get a hold of her. And she's got an emergency with an animal that she's having to deal with at this time.
She can call and we can get it disconnected and put it in someone else's name, whoever.
Well,
wants
it's
to put it in.
gonna be in Mom's name. She's been paying the bill all along. She put the $150 up for the deposit to go in Kim's name, for the utilities to go in her.
But it was just in Kim's name, not your mom at that time? When
Yeah,
she put the
because we
deposit
were
up?
paying off an old bill. They wouldn't put it in her name. And when we paid extra, we paid that 500 and something off. She's paid over $400 in a bill that wasn't even in her name. But we got stuck with it. And they were gonna disconnect Del Beaver at the time because of it. And we're like, how can you do that? So all we're asking is get my daughter off, and my daughter will call tomorrow. She tried calling today. She wants to be off of it.
Okay.
Okay, nobody's moving in. We've been moved in there ever since we've been there. Can't we just work around it? We'll pay the deposit, but she don't feel it would be fair. The deposit that, when Kimberly gets taken off, that's part of her deposit. So that's $150. Okay, and then we'll pay the other $150, but she can't come up with it all at once. She is on a fixed income,
Well,
Social Security.
Well, we can set up a plan to bill you
Yes,
every month for that
absolutely.
deposit is what we
Absolutely.
said. But we can't just transfer, we don't transfer anymore. We have to have it out of your daughter's name and put it
Okay,
in
well,
someone
I'll tell you
else's.
what, there's another thing, okay? We're gonna have to disconnect the power for a little while anyway. Is there any way, my daughter calls in the morning, okay, for them to be able to connect everything, it's gonna have to be disconnected anyway. Can we do the disconnect then?
Tomorrow?
Yes, and put
Yeah,
it in
for
my
sure,
mom's
absolutely.
name so that we can get this worked out in the simplest way.
Of course.
Please.
But we said today, we've got to start a whole new account. That's what happens. We don't transfer it.
Okay,
anymore. So that's what we were saying.
is there
You have to
papers?
open Yes.
Okay.
You have to fill out the paperwork.
Can I
which is
get
what
the
we stated,
papers and we can turn them in the
yeah,
morning?
Absolutely,
Okay, we can work that.
yes.
For
But
sure.
she can disconnect over the phone. We'll ask her for the password.
Well, we had all this going on, we weren't sure how, I mean,
But you do understand the 150 will go for the last bill because we bill them at the time.
Yeah,
So it's
yes.
not gonna be, you're gonna get 150.
yeah, yes,
Okay,
I
I
mean,
just
we'll
wanted to make-
just, yes.
And there'll be a deposit on the new.
Yeah, then if we could pay that deposit out, I mean, that's doable for us. Very.
But you said that there was an old bill. You were talking about an
Yeah,
old
that's been
past-
paid a long
Okay.
time ago, years ago. Yeah, even the $400 one from Sprott that she wasn't really, wasn't even in her name, but we got stuck with it. It was a bad deal over there.
Okay, so if you'll just have your daughter call in the morning. And
Yeah,
come
she's
up
already
here
going
and
to.
disconnect
And then
and
they
take
can
care
put
of
it in
it.
their mother's name.
Okay. If you could do the disconnect when they need to do the disconnect and just do that then, then these guys can finish their job and we can be worked out on the solar and things will get easier.
We just need everything to match.
Yes, absolutely, which is why I came.
Right.
Yes, so is there papers I can pick up now or just, I have to come in the
you'll-
morning?
I'll go get them.
Okay. Okay, so
She'll get you the
thank
packet.
She'll get your
Thank
stuff
you,
for you.
ladies. Thank you.
I know these people right here, Jackie has it.
Okay.
I think they're on the agenda. I think they're on.
Are you on the agenda? Are you,
Oh.
I don't think so.
are you on the agenda? I think that it was on the agenda, on the MUA.
It is on the agenda.
About
Oh,
the
you are on
trash.
the agenda, okay, to already fix it,
Yeah.
so.
We'll call you up at a specific time.
Yes.
We got you in
We
just,
did.
no, you're okay, I told you that because I didn't know that they had put you on the agenda, so you're good.
Yes.
You're good. I told her she had to complete her case because I didn't know she was already
No,
on
we
it.
put her on the agenda she requested to be
Okay.
on the agenda.
Did you have something? You can come up here to the.
No, you're fine, you're item 6, ma'am.
So my name is Annie Glover. I'm a paramedic on the ambulance here in town. I've been here for a little over a year, and I just moved here recently, so it's nice to meet y'all. We've had some things going on that I was hoping to maybe address because I believe the city runs our dispatch. We've got some really good, well-meaning dispatchers. I've been a medic for almost 20 years, and we've been running into a lot of issues with things being done accurately and adequately and safely. So I'm not saying anything bad about any of them. They're great girls. They do a really good job with what they have to work with. However, I've done this a long time, and I'm kind of concerned we're going to have some issues with somebody getting hurt, and I don't want to see that happen. Nobody told me to do this. My boss didn't tell me to do this. This is me because I actually live here. I'm a citizen. I actually care about what happens to people. So personally speaking, I've had some calls where we're not getting dispatched right away, and we're not being given enough information, and I think really truly that falls back on needing some training. I think these girls do as good as they can with what they have to work with, but at the end of the day, we're in a business where everybody really needs to be trained. That being said, I understand that costs money, which obviously has to be discussed. But I do feel like it's something that is incredibly important because I have, in the last month, ran a handful of calls where if it hadn't been for myself or somebody who is very seasoned, people would have got hurt on a scene. And that falls back to being a liability on the city. So I don't want to see that happen. I actually really like this community. I actually started here almost 20 years ago, and I came back, and I love it here. So I'd like to have maybe we could do something positive with dispatch, something I've personally seen. I know they're located at county, and all those guys are great, but I feel like they're distracted there because they're having to kind of split their jobs between helping with inmates and dispatching. And I've also seen it where we've got, I guess it's trustees, I would assume, that are out helping, and they're they're around them where they don't exactly have to me it's a safety issue. Again, I like everybody I work with, we all work well together. I would just like to see them, maybe it would be better, since I guess PD is dispatch, PD is over dispatch, correct? Okay. It might be better suited if they were in the PD, so they're in a safer environment where they're not distracted, where we can actually get information. I personally have ran several calls where it may have taken 8 minutes before I was dispatched to a call, and I promise you, I don't waste time getting to the ambulance. I'm very good about doing that and getting responding in a timely manner. However, we've had some incidents here recently where it would have shown it took me 30 minutes to get to Granite, and we know it does not take 30 minutes to get to Granite. In the event we had some kind of legal investigation over it, they're going to go back and they're going to look at our times. They're going to say, hey, when did you respond? How long did it take you? And as a medic, I worked really hard for my license, and I don't want my times to be wrong and they think I didn't do my job. But two, I also want to make sure people are getting care in a timely manner. Now, I talked with all those girls. They're great. They want to do good. They have great attitudes about everything. I just think they need some more training, and I think that they could focus more on what they're trying to do if they were in a better environment where they weren't being pulled in a couple different directions. And obviously the safety things, that's something I personally have seen trustees there, and I don't know if that's a safe thing. If they don't have an officer there, I'm sorry, y'all, I've been on calls. If somebody wants to do something, they will. And so for me, I personally just have that concern for them. So I don't know what y'all want to do with it. I just wanted to kind of bring it to light. I've had several calls where now it's been consistently where we're not getting everything that we need. And I know that they want to learn and they want to do better, but they can't do it without training. You can't just pull it out of a hat. I can't be a paramedic and just, show up on the truck and just know what I'm doing any more than they can know everything they need to do. They do a good job with what they've been doing at the moment, but there's some safety concerns. Making sure that a scene is safe. Having law enforcement on scene to clear it. I've been on multiple scenes where law enforcement, I was told the scene was clear and it was not. And that puts me and my crew at risk. Not only that, if there's any citizens that are there, bystanders, because everybody sees the lights, they show up or they're around, and I don't want anybody getting hurt. That's really what this comes down to. It is a safety issue. So I just wanted to see if maybe there could be some discussion with the people that are in charge of dispatch, PD, maybe county, to where we can all work a little bit better together, where everybody is it's safe, but the citizens get what they need and it's being done in a timely manner. And I'm telling you, if they don't get training, I promise you the citizens are not getting an ambulance there immediately. Because I've had at least 9 minutes before I've been 9 minutes before I've been dispatched to a call. And then the times are showing when a call comes in is when they paged us, and that's not accurate because I will call on my phone. And I have a timestamp on my phone, and I've been doing that because I want to make sure my stuff is legally correct in the event I have to go to court over something. So that's kind of what my concern was. It's not me griping, it's a safety concern. And that's really what I wanted to bring up and see if maybe we can't get these girls some training and maybe get them in a better situation where they can actually provide a little better, basically they provide care. I mean, because I can't do my job without them and they can't do their job without them. They're the first people that are called so we can get people where they need to be. And I just want to make sure they're safe and everybody is. So that's really all I wanted to say. Do y'all have any questions for me?
Thank you for all you do. I don't think that we can discuss it because it's actually
Okay.
on the agenda
Oh, is it on the agenda? I
to
didn't know that.
move the
Okay.
dispatch. So thank you
Okay,
for
all right, cool.
explaining it, and thank you for all that you do.
All right, thank
as
you, ma'am.
well.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything?
If someone has any comments regarding anything she said, should we wait till the agenda item comes up, or should we address it now?
Corey, what's,
Wait for the agenda item.
Wait for the, okay, thanks.
thank you, guys. Anyone else? All right, we're gonna move on to item 5. Thank you guys all for your input too. Move on to item 5, financial report for October 2023 by the interim city manager. Emma?
So I just want to I didn't put these in your packet. I can make you guys copies and then you can have with you, but I just kind of wanted to go over our sales tax and our use tax and kind of compare it to last year. So last year, we got 70,000 in, actually, we got 52,000 in sales tax, and we got 70 this year in October. November, we had 46, a little over 46,000, and then last year, we had 50,000.
Can you tell me those numbers again for, November?
For last year, November, we had 52,692.74. In October, 50,980.71 for November of 2022. This year, we have 70,581.13 for October. For November, we have 46,454.64 in sales tax. Use tax this year, it's about 12,000, little over 12,000, almost 9,000 in November. Same numbers almost last year. In October, in the use tax last year, we had 8,500. This year, we have 12,000. Alcoholic beverage taxes, this year we had 5,871.21 in October. November, 5,876.95. Last year, we had 6,919.43 in October, and I don't think that anything was posted, or I can see that nothing was posted last year, which probably went into another month. If you get it late, post it late, it goes into another month. Financially, everything looks okay. We did talk with our auditor today. We usually have our audit done and presented in December. She confirmed with us that they are also shorthanded, so they have not had time to come out here. She has all of the paperwork. She got that paperwork in September. I gave her the paperwork. She doesn't find anything concerning yet. They haven't fully went through anything, but everything looks good as far as the audit, our yearly audit. But she did confirm with Ally and I that it would be maybe early January before they can get out here, and then maybe have a special meeting to present, her report about it. I do want to add in that we had last year in our fines. We had, I thought I highlighted it here. Last year we had in October, we had $330 in miscellaneous fines and that we received, and $225. This year in October we had $243, and in November we had $840 in fines received in November. So that's great. I do want to add that we are still working with customers on past due bills, still receiving payments, setting up a payment plan with customers on their past due bills. We're going to go forward and start with the tickets. We have a new employee who's doing payroll now, who's also going to start collecting on our bad debt with the tickets. Try to get something set up with that. I've actually talked with Mr. Kendall and the chief to see what we can get done. Maybe talk to the newspaper and put something in the newspaper that will work with people to try to start something on the past due tickets. We are also working on the new employee that we have. She's going to start, we are going to start with our superintendent and I, and our electric supervisor had a meeting today. We're going to start looking at addresses and try to get some properties and some places cleaned up as well. So we're starting that quickly. Actually, we are going to go and have a meeting tomorrow. We're going to talk with some people, get some reports and stuff. We've talked with Mr. Kendall on the process of getting that started, so we can get that worked on. A little bit of code enforcement, a little bit of just making contact with some customers to try to get some properties cleaned up along with some businesses and stuff that we need to take care of. So we've got all that started. Chris, do you have anything that you need to say as far as? I do want to add that our superintendent and our electric supervisor and I, we've been working really hard and trying to get some things done, and they've been amazing. I actually had a text message earlier regarding Chris and the work that he was doing out in our community today. Shelly as well has been doing great up front and training, because we're a little bit shorthanded again up front, so she's taken over that. Allie is great, so it's starting and we're moving forward and we're having, a positive outcome and the changes that we're making, so I'm happy with it all.
Very good. You can see it in the community too. I've noticed multiple things as well. Anyone have any questions? All right, well, thank you guys for all you're doing. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 6, discussion and possible action to approve resolution number 2023-1201-01, amending the budget for the holiday expense account and the general fund in the amount of $1,200 for the holiday meeting event to be held December 21st.
So I'm gonna talk about, this line item, number 6. Last year, at our city meeting or Christmas meeting, I did tell the employees we were going to start doing something different this year, something positive for our employees, something to look forward to boost their morale, all of our morale. And so I said last year, I said, listen, this year is going to be different. I'm going to talk with our bosses, our commissioners, and see if we can get some money put in a fund to kind of show appreciation to them at Christmas. We can't do it every payroll, every payday, every day, but Christmas is the one that we really appreciate and thank them for what they do for us. So we did talk with the previous interim at that time. We did have a meeting for him to approve, to put some money in for that, but it did not get put into the correct area, it did not the right line item. So we're going to have to move that, so that's what we have this on the agenda for, just to show the movement of that to the correct fund. The fund is at 0. We are saying $1,200, we're actually, it will not be no more than $1,200. We did our numbers today, and I believe it's about pushing it. I think it was at maybe 800. That includes everything. Again, I talked with the employees last year and said we were going to start an employee of the year, so that's also included in this amount. And like I said, the superintendent and I and the electric supervisor had a meeting today to go over we reviewed a couple of employees, mentioned a couple of employees, and I think we came up with a decision today, so.
Excellent.
It will be announced in the, actually, and I don't know, Mr. Kendall, I don't know if we can talk about it, but about that, can our commissioners be present on that 21st meeting, all in one?
If it's a posted meeting.
So we have to post it as a meeting beforehand? Okay, and we will. So we'll post that.
So where was the money, sorry, before, like in the wrong account?
I
Where was
think,
it at?
it's actually sitting in the other services, under the city manager's other services.
Gotcha.
And we need it to, with the changes that we had to make, it's going to go out of our general fund, but not out of our general fund, if that makes sense. Because it's there.
Yeah.
It was there. It's just not sitting in the right area.
We just moved to the wrong account.
So we just need a motion to
Yep.
approve moving the fund?
We just want to have the approval to move the actual money. We don't want to do anything unless we have the approval of the board.
Awesome.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-1201-01.
Second.
Vote please.
Huckabee,
Yes.
McCaslin,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Item 7, discussion and possible action to approve calendar year 2024 meeting dates, payroll calendar, and holiday schedule.
Do they have this?
I-
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the calendar year for 2024.
Second,
I'll second.
vote.
Huckabee,
Yes.
McCaslin,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Item 8, discussion and possible action to approve OK Safety Consultant, OKSC, to review of life safety building plan review, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire alarm, fire sprinkler, access control, CO2 enrichment, and flammable extraction plan review, and inspections for the city of Mangum.
So the lady that I've been speaking with is Caitlin. she asked if we needed some further information for us to call her, so she can explain it a lot better than I can. I think you've been working with her, or spoke with her. Travis Reese spoke with her and called me about it as well. I think it's an amazing program that we need, and it will help the city out 100%. But I'm gonna call her so she can explain what this is about. I'll make sure this is on. Should I do a test?
This is Caitlin.
Hi, Caitlin. This is Irma with the City of Mangum, and I actually have you on speaker in the middle of our meeting now for you to go over the this line item number 8. So I'm going to go ahead and let you take over.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Caitlin Legg. I'm the Director of Operations at Okie Safety. We provide third-party plan reviews and inspections for, I think at this point we're at 32 municipalities throughout the state. So municipalities who have taken their authority having jurisdiction are able to hire a third party, much like Okie Safety, to come in and perform those plan reviews and inspections. There are several ways that we have done this with different municipalities. We can charge the city directly, cities and towns directly, and those permit fees that you all have worked out, they include plan reviews and inspections. There are other municipalities that collect their permit fee, and we bill the plan submitting party directly. That is not a way, nobody's in this to make money, but that is a way that the city doesn't find themselves with multiple plan reviews and not being able to recoup those items in their permit fees, or if they just don't have them built in. And then we've also done it to where on building and life safety and mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, we've billed the city, and then fire protection and fire safety, those are done through those trades independently. But essentially what we do, aside from the financial part, I know that brings up a lot of questions, so I like to get that out of the way, and we can come back to any questions. But essentially what we would do is when a plan comes into the city, we would ask that they also provide us a plan digitally. It takes about 7 to 10 business days to turn around a plan. Right now, the state fire marshal is sitting at a much longer wait than that. And it's delaying projects. So we're able to get in, turn those plans around quickly, and we can take as much or as little of that as you guys would like. Again, we can do mechanical, electrical, plumbing, building, fire alarm, fire sprinkler, hood, and also civil. We can do plats. The only thing we really don't get into is zoning. And that stays within the city. But once we complete our plan review, we send that back to the plan submitting party along with you all, noting that our portion is done. We like to become very close with the municipalities we work for, so we know if there's an extra step that they need to clear with you before we stamp the plans fully, and then the contractors would call us in for inspections. We come down for inspections and give you guys a copy of those reports as well. And that was a lot. I'm sorry.
I have a question. So, for instance, I mean, I'm also a business owner in town, but so does this take the place of, like, if you're being put on a list, because I know that the fire marshal, they've now changed it to where the state fire marshal has to do inspections on all new and existing businesses. Would this plan set up to where, like, the businesses in town don't have to wait on that list with the state fire marshal? Like, once this is done through you guys, we could send that in and that would be
Absolutely.
adequate?
That is correct. The Mangum does have to take over their authority having jurisdiction with the state fire marshal. That's just an email and a letter that you request from the state fire marshal.
Which we did have at one time, I guess, and then they started doing it themselves. We were talking about how to figure out how to go back to that, because they relinquished that at one time, so.
And it does require you to do it for 3 years. So once you take that back, you are required, and you have that liability for 3 years. We have clients that we tell that, and they're like, well, it's not just 3 years. Like, you're in it. We're doing this together forever. Right now, the state fire marshal one of our design companies that we work with quite frequently, they are on month 7 of still waiting for the plan to even be reviewed.
Yeah,
And they're
ours
in-
is still waiting, and it's been months. We haven't even heard if we've been put on their waiting list, so.
Right.
So
No,
that's why I'm
it,
so
it does.
pleased.
It's an immediate, and we're in constant contact. I think that's something, and this is, our owner used to contract for the state fire marshal. We appreciate them and everything that they do. This is not, it's not a competition. We're just able to help small businesses, much like, or large business owners, make sure that they're not at jeopardy and their business isn't at the hands of the fire marshal just because they're overloaded. We go in and in smaller towns and cities that we work with, there are people who are like, I didn't even know I needed to do this. And now all of a sudden my productivity has to stop for 8 months because I didn't even know I was non-compliant, or because if there are any changes as well after that review that need to happen, you're looking at construction time and then waiting on the inspection. So you go back in line to wait for an inspection, and that just, it stacks up pretty quickly. But we like to stay in constant contact with all of our clients and plan submitters so that there's no question. I think the longest one we've had has been 15 days, and that was because there was a resubmit. So essentially what they sent us was kind of it was a mom and pop shop that somebody had drawn something out on a napkin and tried to get a plan review, which happens, and we just had to work with them to get it up to the point that we could review it and ensure that all of the code state minimum requirements were met. So.
Awesome. Okay.
Any questions?
All right, thank you so much for this. I will be in contact with you tomorrow and let you know how it goes, how it
Yes,
went.
absolutely. I appreciate you guys, and I am sorry I rambled a little bit, but I know your
That's
time's
okay.
precious, so.
That's okay.
Just wanted
Thank
to
you.
Get it out there. Yes, thank you guys.
Have a good night.
It's kind of a no-brainer. It's gonna save the school, what, $14,000 if we're able to, and just, partner with them so that they can contract with the school and they not have to go through architects and, yeah.
Well, I just know there's several businesses here in town, new or existing, because they just changed this law to where everything has to be inspected, new or old. And let me tell you, you have to do that paperwork once, and Chris Christian can tell you, because I showed it to him, and he was like, I have no idea what this even is. So, there's been businesses that have been put on months hold, because there's one state fire marshal, and he has 3 guys working for him for the whole entire state, for every new and existing business going forward to be inspected. So, this, to me, is a no-brainer, too. I mean, there's just, you will stay on a list forever, and we won't have any businesses come into town either if they can't get permits, waiting on the fire marshal to come in.
And that's what held up Tin City, like you were saying, too.
Yeah, I mean,
the
it was
months.
permits and just stupid stuff. Like I said, we submitted our paperwork. It's been 3 months. We haven't even heard from anybody. We have no idea if we're even on their list for inspection. So,
That's true.
I think that's the fairgrounds too.
yeah, it's all, it is, it's everybody. Everybody I've talked to is, I mean, they're literally waiting on fire marshal inspections, and there's no way they can keep up, so.
All right, so a motion to approve item number 8.
I'll make a motion to approve item
Second.
number 8.
I'll second.
Vote?
Huckabee,
Yes.
McCaslin,
Yes?
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
All right, item 9, discussion and possible action to approve interim city manager to begin the process of moving dispatch from the Greer County Sheriff's Department to 130 North Oklahoma Avenue or to 120 North Oklahoma Avenue.
Okay, so 2 years ago, when we moved into this building, we talked about it then. I'd mentioned it then and asked why we did not move dispatch into this building. We had an area in the front that we could have made a dispatch area. Back then it was funding, money. We didn't have, the funding to move the OLETs to our area. So I've talked about it with the chief, talked about it with Mr. Kendall. We've talked about moving it in that front area. We've talked about moving it into the annex building. We also talked about moving it to the fire department in that front area where they already have a dispatch pretty much. So we've kind of just went round and round, and now that we have the sheriff's department possibly maybe, you know, having a new jail in the future, I figured it's just time to move our dispatch and get our dispatch moved, and I think it was Amy that spoke earlier. Not really for us to see what's going on, what's happening to them. They're our employees. We want to take care of all of our employees, and it's just we need to put them in the areas that we have available to put them at, and we should have done it 2 years ago. We didn't. But she was right to a point where it's harder for us to talk about training, to talk about if they're late, if they're not, if they're here, if they're, you know, just, so it's just, it'll benefit us if our dispatches, you know, in our buildings. I actually, a while back, but Mr. Chapman and I talked about this, he was concerned more of the handicap accessible being at 120 North Oklahoma, although we have talked with our IT, and that's the smartest move for them to go to. They're already open 24 hours a day. Their doors are open, so they have two nice dispatch. That was our old building, that they have two areas. The fire chief and I, a year ago, had talked about moving dispatch or having a dispatcher there, instead of everybody kind of just being spread out, and so this is what we put this on. I did say that I needed it on the agenda to even start talking about costs and money and where we're going to put them. So I need the approval of the board to start that. So there's grants available. The chief and I had talked about some grants that are available to even help with moving the OLETs system. So, but again, we can't even give a number or say what it's going to cost if we don't have the okay from our board members to even start the process of it. So I don't know if the chief is here.
He's back there.
Okay, but the chief and I, and actually even the assistant chief and I have talked about it, but I'm gonna go ahead and let him take over on his view of it.
What I was wanting to do real quick is, our 911 manager was here, and he was wanting to talk about real quick about what EMS had discussed. And I'd like him to put his 2 cents, because he is the 911 coordinator for the county, and then we'll close up.
Mayor and city manager and council members, visitors, my name's Greg Miller. I'm the Greer County Emergency Manager, 911 Coordinator, Floodplain Manager, and a couple other things. I would like to introduce you to the chairman of the 911 Trust Authority, Mr. Gary Ford. And I appreciate the fact that you recognize that you have city employees as your dispatchers, and we appreciate them as the county for the function that they provide. To move a dispatch center, I just hope that we don't rush into this and make a bunch of haste. I want us to consider the fact that I don't know exactly who owns the OLET system, if you own it or not, if it's
We own it.
You own it, okay. But most of the other equipment in the 911 center you don't own. And all the 911 equipment is owned by the 911 Trust Authority. So you don't have the authority to move that. Just to give you an idea of what it would cost to move 911 equipment would be a minimum of $100,000 from what the state tells us. We don't know what's motivating this as far as, I know there was a passionate plea earlier about the safety of the dispatchers. I'm not sure if that person's actually been inside the dispatch center. I've been there when the dispatchers are working. They are, if they do, they rarely provide any kind of jailing function. One of the reasons why we're allowed to have our jail open today is the fact that we have those dispatchers there and they have cameras. If we didn't have those dispatchers there today, we would have to close the county jail. If you pull your dispatchers out and put them in whatever building you put them in, you will shut down our 911 center in the Greer County. Now, we do have a redundant 911 capacity that rolls our 911 calls to another center, but they don't have our mapping system. So it would be Jackson County or Lawton or someone else that would get those calls. It's not going to benefit your countyans at all. I would like you to consider some other options possibly. First of all, let me just say this. If there's anything at all that's unsafe about the dispatchers, let us sit down and observe what we can do to make them safer. As far as training goes, they came out with some new laws this year that was passed. House Bill 1580 requires that every dispatcher has a minimum of 40 hours training per year. So that's something they have to do as being a 911 dispatcher. Some of that training they can do online, and I think I provided it to the chief of some of the resources how you can get that training. And there are grants for that too, in addition. And I know the 911 Trust Authority, we don't have a lot of money, but we are willing also to contribute some, a little bit of training also for the dispatchers. Is that right, Mr. Chairman? Okay. But I would like us to consider some other options. You know, you already have a budget set for what you pay for your dispatchers. Would you be willing to save some money and put it in your coffers? And would you be willing to pay your percentage of the dispatch calls and pay it to the county and let those dispatchers become county employees? So let us think of it this way. What if 60% of the call volume comes from the city of Mangum? Would you be willing to pay 60% of your present budget that you use for dispatchers and pay that to the county? And let's say we'll have Granite and Willow and the county and EMS and possibly the prison, and anybody else that's taken, reaping any enjoyment out of the dispatch center, paying their fair share percentage-wise, and let those dispatchers become county employees. Now, that would work better for us. The sheriff is, like you mentioned, is doing a study on remodeling a building to become a jail or possibly building a jail. But even so, even if we got through all the planning stages, that would be probably a minimum of about a 2-year process before we could do anything. And so let's talk about these. Let's talk about some options. I think the sheriff, I know for a fact, and I think Mr. Strange, this undersheriff, would maybe like to say something also. But I know Sheriff McMahon has studied this for over a year and has come up with some numbers where he could take the dispatchers under his department, and maybe it would make it better for everybody. The dispatchers pretty much are busy doing dispatching work. If someone says to you that they didn't get dispatched and it was based on a 911 call, let me know the details. Let us investigate it, because I have access to all of the data for every 911 call. I can tell you exactly when that call came in. I can tell you exactly where that number is. I can tell you exactly how long it took them to answer it. I can tell you exactly how long they talked on the phone. So if somebody tells you they didn't get a call, or they didn't get called for 7 minutes, and it was a 911 call, please let me know, because we will investigate it, and we should investigate it. But I can just tell you from the records that I search on a somewhat regular basis, we don't have those kinds of. Sometimes a fluke will happen where we will lose a call because someone called at the same time another call came in, and it'll roll over to another county. Sometimes we have some issues with AT&T. AT&T leaves messages all the time on my office call where they lost their ability to send a 911 call. So it's not the dispatch center. Our dispatch center and the girls there, and they don't get paid much money. I think we're pretty lucky to have them, honestly. So I think they do a pretty good job. And I've got to listen to some of the calls and things, and it's a tough job. But I think you can be proud that you have them as your employees, honestly. So, does anybody have any questions of me?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Did you have something you wanted to add?
I mean, I can speak, I'm not gonna speak on behalf of the sheriff, because that's not my position.
Do you mind coming up here just so the
Yeah.
people on YouTube can hear also?
Oh, yeah,
Or talk a lot louder, your choice.
it's up to y'all, whatever, I can be loud however you want me to do it. I'm not gonna speak on behalf of the sheriff, that's not my position. I took over as under sheriff a few weeks ago. Just to let you know about my past, I come from Metro Oklahoma City. I've worked travel agencies across eastern Oklahoma. I've worked for the federal government. I'm used to dispatch, military, civilian, just whatever. We've dealt with all kinds of different types. If the issue is safety, we can address that. From what I've seen, I have not seen inmates in dispatch. Olitz is supposed to be a secured location where inmates should not have access. I have not seen inmates in there from my time. That's only but my time. In the past, possibly, but from what I've seen, no. Yeah, there are some discrepancies with dispatch. Not gonna lie. From where I come from, Oklahoma County, Oklahoma City, we have more organized, but you also have more training. No matter what you do, training is what's going to keep you out of civil litigation. You can talk to your attorneys on that, law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, whatever it is. More training, more experience, the decreases of civil litigation no matter what. But other than that, I mean, I want what's best for the community and the county. I took a huge pay cut coming out here just because I want what's best for the community. That's all I care about. My best interest is in our citizens of the county. That's all I care about. And just like y'all's what's best interest for the citizens of Mangum. So all I ask is y'all do what's best for the community. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
Just real quick before the chief comes up, I don't know where somebody's understanding that it's the training or we have complaints or calls are not being answered. I've never heard of that until tonight. So now I will start looking into it as well. So thank you for that.
No problem.
Because now I'll start watching out for that. But this is not to do with training or someone not answering the call in time. This has been going on for 2 years. Mr. Kendall and I talked about this 2 years ago when we moved into the building. We brought it up the very first time we met Chief Taylor. That's the first thing we did in 3 days of his 3 days that he was here. We took him around and we said, hey, we've been trying to get dispatch over here. Let's start this project. But I'll start looking into the call logs as well and the complaints or the issues that we might maybe be having and training as well. But this is just something we've been talking about for a few years.
And one of the other things, if y'all ever need help with training, I teach all across the state. Chief Taylor, he's an amazing instructor. He's got contacts. If y'all ever need help, this is the reason we moved down here. I was actually moving to eastern Oklahoma. My wife's family's from here. That's why we stayed here. I love the community. It's beautiful down here. It's the closest I'm going to get back to eastern Oklahoma. I'm a resource. If y'all ever need it, please do not hesitate to call me.
I believe, wasn't Glenady who was in charge of that before? Because
Well, I guess that's
we
what's odd
actually
is
had a
it's-
conversation with her as well, and we weren't going to lose 911 then. We were.
That's never been,
Never.
it has been discussed and that's
So
never been
it
brought
has
up
been a
that
discussion. It's
it would get
not
shut
for
down.
training or none of that. And my concern is when my superintendent was present as well, we went to go do the walkthrough at the armory with the Sheriff McMahon and the guys who came down, the architects who came down. And I even mentioned to Chris, I said, they asked him, are you planning on bringing dispatch? He said, no. I looked right at our superintendent and said, we better start getting ready to move them.
And like
So,
I said, I don't
mean,
know
it's-
anything about that. I literally just took over a couple weeks ago. One thing, although on the grants, you were talking about grants, you've got to be very careful on that unless you're.
And we will. We
They're
just want to
transfer over
make sure that we have the approval to even, here's the
Start the
deal,
process,
we can't
yeah.
even talk about the process without being told, yes, we can or we can't.
Yeah, just the grants, it'll go on to a P25, which is the emergency responder kind of side of the radio communications. And you're talking a lot of money. On the
Correct.
tribal side, it was a lot easier for us to do those grants because we could afford it. We have funding with the tribes. Same thing with Metro. Tax revenue is a lot higher. Out here, again, it's gonna be a little rough. Just do what's ever best for the community. and the
Absolutely.
citizens. That's the only thing I can do.
Absolutely.
Well, we also discussed with SWOTA, and they said there's something that they have funding available too for them to take over 911. So there's a lot of
Yes, it's been a
information
discussion.
that
Right,
is
it's this,
very-
yeah, I
If y'all
was,
ever want to see a very well, I'll say a well-functioning operation, let me know. I came from Oklahoma County back in the early 2000s. I would love to take y'all up there. If y'all want to see how a central dispatch runs just amazing, let me know. I'll take y'all up there. I'll get with Tommy Johnson, the sheriff up there. That is an amazing program, some of the best training you will ever see, and I would be more than happy to take y'all up there and show y'all around.
and I think our chief as well has brought a dispatcher that's also has grant information, a lot of experience, and that's what we're working on to get here, to make sure we're doing the right thing,
Oh,
to
yeah.
make sure that we have the money for it, to make sure that it's the best for the community and the best for all of us. So we have been talking about that. The assistant chief, the chief and I have been talking about that for the last few weeks. Mr. Kendall's been involved the last few months. We've been talking about it since Chief Taylor came in August. We've been talking about it for 2 years. So it's just to see what's best and to
Yep.
see what we can and can't do.
Yep.
So
And
to
the
clarify,
dispatcher talking about Elk City,
Pardon?
Elk City's dispatcher,
Yes.
a lot of that program from Eddie Holland came from Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office Foundation.
so is item 9 the process of moving the dispatch or the process of looking into moving?
the funding and what it's gonna cost.
So it's.
So we
it's
can't
just
even talk about
beginning to
grants and this is
explore.
just beginning to explore. So in 2 months from now, I'm going to say, hey, this address over here, this is what it's going to cost us. We've talked with OLEDs, here's the paperwork, the chief, the maybe new dispatch that we're gonna bring in that's going to help us. We can't come up with anything until we have the approval of our board members to even talk to anyone, to even apply for a grant, to even think of bringing in a dispatcher to help us with this process, if we're told no.
May I say one more thing? I hope you're not considering having 2 separate dispatch systems in Greer County. The size of the county that we are, to have 2 separate dispatch systems, I think is a total waste of money, total waste of manpower.
I don't-
It'll confuse the system.
I don't think that was ever a discussion. Actually, McMahon is the one that, him and I had a discussion about SWOTA being involved in taking over the 911 dispatch. He's actually the one who said that there was grants available. He had spoke to SWOTA, and they actually made mention of it in a meeting in here one time. So it wasn't about having 2 different dispatches, it was just about them taking over the funding for, and funding dispatch in general for Greer County.
Yeah, how long ago was that?
Not very long ago.
Oh, okay, good. There was in the past, SWOR 911, which was a
Right.
division
I would
of
say it's been
SWOTA.
less than a year ago that we spoke with them.
That one time, they were considering a third party to work with Greer County 911 Trust Authority. And that did not go through. So Greer County 911 Trust Authority is still in charge of the 911 system in Greer County. So whatever you do when it comes to 911, unless you separate and have your own separate system, you'll have to deal with Greer County 911 Trust Authority. I just want you to understand that.
Chief Taylor?
Or,
I'll go ahead and have the major go ahead and brief you on what we found out so far.
Okay, so I've never actually gotten to do public speaking, and I've never got to address anybody before. So I'm a little excited, but I want to tell Greg thanks, because he gave me a good direction to go with, and we talked a few weeks ago, and so it kind of got me thinking about it, and I've had a lot of meetings with a lot of people now, and so to address a couple things. We're not trying to take away counties' 911. It's just been established. If they want to run that, it's great. We do have some major issues. One of them is training, like they talked about. I appreciate, what you were addressing with, we have issues there. We figured them out. So I went around, I did some looking into it and seeing what we can actually do. We're not trying to take away 911, but there is absolutely room and necessity to have a secondary 911 station. If it goes down, there's no generators over there. They have a limited time. If we have a major storm and their building goes out, we have a backup plan. We don't have one right now. And it's a very good idea to have one. You talked about, we talked a little bit about the fire department as being a really good viable option. We have to go through more on it, but with that, they have generators in place. They have a lot of the necessities we need for the basics already in place, saving us money. I've made contacts with some friends that I have over in Lake Jack, or excuse me, not Lake Jackson, in Oak City, and I've gotten us about $30,000 worth of dispatching equipment already donated to us for free. So I've covered a large chunk of that money that we need to set up that system. I've reached out and I've got Kyle Granger with OneLink. He's going to come out next month. We've got an appointment. He's going to check our radio systems and make sure that we can actually operate them like we need to. And if not, what would it cost to get us on point? There's a lot to it, and you're right. It can be very expensive. I've made contact. I've talked with, I believe you know Billy Sizemore, actually. I've done some work with him. He's going to help me with the grants, because I've not written grants before, but he does that for a living. He's very good at it. So he's going to help me walk me through the process. He's already gotten me going with the continuity plan that we have to have in place before we even apply for grants. A big part of this, I understand their concerns, It's a real thing. Hey, it's a lot of money. It can be expensive. And that's part of what I'm doing, is I'm running around saying, how can we fix this for less? We don't have a $100,000 budget to hop out there for 911. But what we have is my jailers. They're not jailers. They're dispatchers. They have no training how to do that.
Is that?
Well, they use some of the funding because they're considered, they're also considered quote unquote jailers. I think is how we talk, like kind of jailers.
Yeah. Okay, because we have a two-story jail, the only way our jail is authorized or approved in yearly inspections is because we have the dispatcher there who has cameras who can watch it. Because technically we have to have 2 jailers on at each shift. So that's the only way they've been approving the jail is by the fact that the dispatchers are there with their cameras. If we lose the dispatchers, our jail closes down, we have to take our prisoners out of county.
So is that because the county cannot hire jailers to actually be jailers?
We don't have the funds, yeah, because we're looking at, we wouldn't have the funds to hire a whole nother, you'd have to have.
Is there a grant
Right,
program
I
that
was
they
gonna
have for
say yes,
jailers?
'cause we
I think
did
they've
have
actually
a
run a couple
visit.
of, I know they have grant programs for some of the prisons in the other parts of Oklahoma. I'm sure they'd have something for them.
I know Mr. McMahon is working on.
Well, and that's their jail. I would never tell them how to run their jail. I know nothing about jails. I really don't. But my point is also, we're calling them jailers for a grant, for their purposes, and they have no training. And if you've ever fought somebody in imprisonment that wants to leave, it's not easy, and they have no ability to do it. That's not fair to them.
So are
It
our
goes against
dispatchers aware that when they work for the city, but they're at the county jail, that they are considered jailers because there are cameras?
I've
Are
told
they-
them no.
Is that part of a
We have told
contract?
them.
Is that part of
We have
anything
been
that's-
telling them no. We
We've been-
actually told them no the last time that we had a visit, which I told the 2 chiefs. We had a visit from our work comp, agent that came down and visited and questioned me on a police officer that's no longer with us that had gotten hurt in the jail and asked why was our dispatch in the jail. They
So
were
is-
not going to cover her.
So aside from all that, this is a conversation that clearly we need to also have it with the county, because I feel like there is obviously they obviously have an understanding of what they think should be happening, and then these are our employees that the city is paying to do a job, and they're being told to do other jobs, and if they don't do those jobs, that they're going, that's absolutely absurd to me. So we're funding it, we're putting them in that position, and now we're gonna be responsible that if we move our dispatch, that our jail is going to close down because the county can't afford to hire jailers. That's not our responsibility. I'm sorry, it's just not. I mean, it's, obviously we wanna keep the jail, that's not it. That's why we're getting the armory building inspected, and that's why we went to those meetings. I just feel like that's, a little absurd to me that they,
It's been like that for a while,
but there's no communication, and that's crazy to me that people don't know that. That's not, to me, that's not okay. So,
And to clarify, the conversation to move the dispatch has actually been going on for about 6 years.
Yes.
Ever since
It
I've
was-
been the
it
city
was-
attorney.
It's been
it's
going on,
discussed.
but we have talked about it heavily for 2 years now, and even more when the chiefs came in.
Like I said, to address most of it, I know there's a lot of money in grants. I'm just learning this, and there is a ton out there. And it's for almost anything, the police, dispatchers, sheriff county, anybody needs it, the state offers it. A massive amount of it goes unclaimed. I'm absolutely sure you'd agree that. Like, there's a ton of money that goes unclaimed every year. I talked to Billy in great detail about it. But all these, if nothing else, hear me out, if nothing else, we are failing my dispatchers. They have cockroaches climbing all over the keyboards. They are in an unsafe environment. That door is not closed, it's not sealed, it's not adequate. They don't deserve that. And we are taking care of them, and they're on our dollar. You throw aside all the other problems and the petty things that we can get riled up on. They don't deserve that. Those are our people, and I cannot sit there and just ignore it for 6 more years. I know it's a lot of work, but we need a chance to start looking at this and see what we can do to make it acceptable. Is there anything anybody has questions on?
Anybody else have any questions?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to conclude with something simple. When you all brought me on, I told you that my utmost responsibility would be to the city of Mangum, period, bar none. Okay? God help us if something bad happens there, because not only would it look bad for the jail, but if something goes wrong, not only are they liable, but we are liable as well. Okay? I've been in there several times. I'm in there all the time. That door where people get booked in is open. Okay? I've brought in dispatchers from other agencies to fill for us. And the bottom line is they don't want to fill in for us because it's, number one, it's not safe, and number two, the stuff crawling across the keyboards that they're like, no, I'm not coming to, I was originally coming to help you, but I'm not going to now. But thank you for your time, and we cannot do that to these people. I've been told by several dispatchers who will remain nameless that if they get verbally yelled at, so on and so forth again, they're going to quit. Okay? We lose one dispatcher, one. Our overtime will be through the roof, and you think our budget's looking good now. Okay, we lose one. And I've been told by multiple dispatchers that they will get up and they will walk out as soon as it happens. Okay? I don't know why, who, what, when, where, okay, but we deserve to give them better. Okay? Any questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can I just say one more thing? I want you to understand that even the dispatcher that Chief brought in from Elk City, so across the state, there's dispatchers that perform both duties, jailer and dispatchers. It's not uncommon. But there's a training process. They have to be trained to be the jailer. And your dispatchers aren't trained. They don't have that training. And so it's not completely unusual, but I understand what you were saying. And the door that, there's 2 doors that go into the dispatch center. To get into the dispatch center, you have to you have to be let in electrically. Okay. But once you're in, there's one then, once you get inside, there's one that goes in, and then there's another one that goes back to the jailing part. And I think that there's some things that we can look at it to improve that. We can make that a more secure door. I never heard of any cockroaches or anything. And
Just look. Yeah, next time you go there, just look.
And I've had to climb under the desk while we were working on equipment already and stuff, and, but if we can address those kinds of things, I think, and we can look at some ways we can improve the security, and I don't think that's out of line. I think the 911, the trust authority would even be willing to try to help with that, so I would like us to consider that while you're looking at your different options.
Thank you. I think it's important too to remember, pointing fingers isn't gonna help in any direction. The point is, all of us have a common goal and we need to remember what that is. All agencies, groups, boards work together to each uphold their
I
own
agree, but I think
responsibilities.
communication is lacking in that area, and that's why there's so much, when nobody knows these things, we have employees that are in situations that they shouldn't necessarily be in, and it's because the county's relying on us to provide that. You know what I mean? And that's frustrating, and I get it from both aspects, and the county and the city has to work together. That's the only way things
Absolutely.
will continue to work, but we've gotta have a better system, so.
Across the board, there's so many things that need attention. I think this is just one that it's time to look at how it's put together and see how we can improve it.
Correct. Like Mr. Kimball said, this has been in conversation for 6 years now.
Yeah.
We'd met with Glenady before. We talked about it 2 years ago when we first moved into this building, and that's the reason why we didn't do it, is because we couldn't afford to pay the OLEDs to move our OLEDs here, and that's why we didn't do it. I will say, a couple of years ago, I think, Corey, we had an employee that did leave because we couldn't protect her in there. We did the best that we could, and that's all she'd ever done her whole entire life was dispatch. And there was a situation going on and we could not protect her. So I feel this is the best move. We can't even say that this is possible without your approval to move forward.
All right, so.
Was there not a mold issue years
When,
back?
7 years ago, we had that, and we had to have that little, like, trailer or some little camper or something outside of the sheriff's department, parked outside, and that was an issue even then, but.
Okay, so we need or does anybody have any more questions or comments before?
So then I'm gonna make a motion to, basically approve in a forward motion for them to look into moving the dispatch to one of our city buildings.
Second.
Vote?
Huckabee,
Yes.
McCaslin,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to staff and board remarks. Remarks or inquiries by the governing body members, city manager, city attorney, or city employees.
I got one thing real quick. We had some juveniles go through municipal court. I hope you've been seeing them on Saturday. They've had a lot of community service that the police officers are supervising, and I think it's been very impactful for them. So I want to just
Excellent.
publicly
Good.
congratulate and
Absolutely.
acknowledge the work
Absolutely.
that the officers have put in to the youth.
Yes.
Thank you.
I want to second that. I've seen you guys go above and beyond just your job and truly pour into people, youth, and thank you. Thank you for making our community safe, but also a better place.
Well, we appreciate that, but we couldn't have done it without you all, without the community, okay? Without everybody. Okay, we work it, we, as I said before, we will succeed together, we will fail together. Okay, it is what it is. We're starting to see some of the fruits of the labor. Our call volume's down just a little bit. We only had 237 calls for service this month. So, I mean, that includes everything, okay? Took 14 reports, charges were filed on 6 of those. We had a large amount of different types of crimes that were taken care of and filed on this month. Not going to get into that. But also, we was going to discuss the community service. I think it's going well. We already have one group of them that was taken care of, and we're on the second group right now. And one of the juveniles flagged me down the other day, and he said, "I can't wait to do this again on Saturday because I'm having so much fun." And I'm like, okay, but you're the one working your butt off, but, okay.
Let's do it the right way. Tell them to just volunteer next time.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But I just want to thank everybody for your support. Once again, we can't do it without everybody, okay? We are only as successful as y'all allow us to be, and just thank you for your time.
Thank you. We absolutely have made progress
Well, that's what I
with the
wanted
new
to say.
staff. with
Our employees have been
superintendent.
great. There's been a lot of turmoil. Some of it, maybe people think they know what's going on, a lot of it they don't. I wanna say personally, all of our employees, I think they're all doing great. I think everybody has really stepped up. I think we have a lot of people in the right positions right now. And I think working together, we're gonna be able to get a lot accomplished. So to all of our city workers, new, old, whatever, we appreciate all of you guys very much. And we know this has been a rough transition, but I think we are well on our way to some good things in Mangum, so.
For sure. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? Any new business?
I don't know new business. Anything?
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Vote.
Huckabee,
Yes.
McCaslin,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Adjourned. All right, moving on to the MUA. Let's call this meeting to order with a roll call, please.
Huckabee,
Here.
McCaslin,
Here.
Manasco,
Here.
Peterson,
Here.
Chapman.
All right, consent agenda, items 1 through 4.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Vote.
Huckabee,
Yes.
McCaslin,
Yes.
Manasco,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
All right, any remarks by the audience not pertaining to any item on the agenda? You're coming up still.
You're almost there, almost.
Unless you have something else besides the poly cart.
Okay.
We're almost there.
She's like, still me, still me.
Okay. All right, item 5,
So see you
discussion.
next month.
Discussion and possible action to approve invoice 223138-1 in the amount of $20,000 for water meter replacement engineering services with Myers Engineering. This is phase 1.
That is the grant that we just got approved for, the loan paperwork, everything behind that is this $20,000 invoice,
Awesome.
which the loan did get approved. Everything is finalized. We got all the final paperwork. Everything is completed for that.
Excellent.
Awesome, so, that was about, it was 999,000, but what was the estimated project
The total
cost?
was like 696,000, Corey.
Somewhere in that.
Actually, I
neighborhood.
think I have it right here in front of me. It was 690, actually $618,135. $135.
Very good.
It's done, it's right here, it's all ready to go.
Moving forward, that's an amazing.
We'll help out our superintendent staff outside by 90%, so.
Yeah, very good.
I'll make a motion to approve invoice number 223138-1.
Second,
I'll second.
vote.
Huckabee,
Yes.
McCaslin,
Yes.
Manasco,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
All right, item 6, discussion and possible action to review or adjust the discrepancy Mr. Donald Northrup has regarding polycart charges for the past 2 years. City manager has adjusted the account for 3 months following the City of Mangum policy.
It's your turn.
Now, you're up. You're up.
I'll let you do it, sweetheart.
All right. Be nice.
Nice. Hi.
Well, hello. Thank you for waiting so patiently.
It's okay. This is my stupidity, okay? I get the electric bills. I don't really look. I look at what the figure is. I pay it. Okay. Last month, for what reason I don't know, I happened to look at my bill, and I'm like, why am I being charged for 2 trash cans? I only have 1. So I looked at all of them. And they've been charging me, I've been here a year and a half. They've charged me for actually 16 months. But this past month that I paid, they took it off. But they said I had to come here.
Over a year.
It's been over a year. It's my own
They've never
stupidity,
had
I'm
2
sorry.
cards at their house. They've only ever had 1, so it's whoever, it's a rental? It was a rental, or did you buy it?
We bought it.
They bought it, but prior to that, they just never took off the second poly card, but when they bought the house, there was only 1 there the whole time.
So the policy is the girls can adjust 1 month, the city manager can adjust 3 months, but we can't go back that far to make an adjustment without the approval of the board.
And so we just need a motion to.
If that's what you wanna do, yes, cause basically, I think, maybe Chris Halford, went to go check to see if there was 1 poly cart, just to double check if it was, if they had 1, and they did just have 1. Right, and how many months we can go back to.
So it was 9 months at $21.75, and then it was 6 months at $19.98.
Right, and that was the fiscal year is closed, so
Well,
we have a,
what you do is you give a credit forward. Is how you make you don't adjust backwards, you credit forward.
Yeah, you just-
So you would credit
we just
her
give a dollar
a
amount.
second poly cart on her
Do you
bill.
have the information, obviously, of what?
We have the
Therefore, yeah.
information, yes, but like we're saying, the girls can do 1 month, I can do 3, and to go
Yeah.
back.
But I'm just saying, you
and
have
to
the
go-
amount, the totals and stuff where you can go back and look, where she's saying she has 9 months at 20, what did you say,
Yeah,
you're
we
21 what?
did the 21.90. It was
It was
1998 before December. and then
Okay,
we went
so
up
that's what I'm
to
saying, you guys have access.
We
to
have
that.
the information,
It was
yes.
119.88, and then it was 195.75.
So what you would do is you would credit her forward.
Which is an adjustment, we have
Yeah.
to do an adjustment, but we can't do an adjustment like Shelley's saying.
Yeah.
Fiscal year is closed, so we can't do it, but it will just be a credit to the
Yeah.
next billing cycle.
Okay.
But you had a good time while you were here, right?
I did. Boy, this is great. Maybe I'll come every month.
That's what I'm saying.
I
We'll
love
see you
it.
next month.
You're gonna be on your
Hey,
toes till
Dixie, you
next
didn't
month.
tell me how good this was.
You gotta come see.
Yeah.
Every month, that's why.
I'll make a motion that we adjust her bill accordingly.
I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Vote.
Huckabee,
Yes.
McCaslin,
Yes.
Manasco.
Yes.
Do you need this paper that I have the figures on,
So
or?
what we can do is I will have, if you wanna contact Shelley tomorrow, she
Okay.
will go in and make that adjustment, and then
Okay.
she can give you your printout of that.
Okay. Shelley, you want this?
I'll take it right now.
All right.
Do you want all of the bill?
Do you want all of these?
Yep, got it.
Moving on to staff and board remarks. Any staff or
Thank
board
you.
remarks?
Thank you. Thank you.
Peterson, seconded, and Manasco, okays, 1.
All right, any new business? How about a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second, vote.
Huckabee,
Yes.
McCaslin,
Yes.
Manasco,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
All right, adjourned. Thank you guys for coming.